Hello, this is Executive Coach Kim Miles, and I'm thrilled to have you with me here for the Balanced Life Finally Feel the webinar. I want to start with sharing a little bit about why I created this webinar. I had so many clients coming to me that looked like this, or maybe even like this, and sometimes like this, but every single one of them had a situation like this. This idea of overwhelm or feeling out of balance is not uncommon for people in the United States or across the globe these days. This idea of having so many things to do, having access to so many ideas and concepts and priorities and commitments and all of those things that happen in life. Life is moving so much faster than it seemed to have been 5, 10, 20 years ago. It really does feel like we are juggling between activity and people and priorities and commitments. And I really wanted to come up with a system, come up with a way, an approach, a strategy that would help us all move out of this space. So that's what this webinar is about. In this webinar, we're going to have 6 different modules. They're recorded separately so that you can go at your own pace. We're going to be covering what is life balance. We're going to do a values alignment exercise. We're going to remove some tolerations, look at your legacy, take a deep dive into your commitments, your to-do list, and your priorities, and then we'll pull it all together. Now, there's a few things to consider with this particular webinar, and you may have taken some other types of courses, maybe some time management courses, maybe even some delegation courses. And this particular course has been designed specifically with a coach approach. So you're going to be going through these activities. You're going to be digging really deep. And so I want you to take your time with each activity. Please don't rush through any of the modules. And as a matter of fact, I encourage you to go back through each module and review it once you've completed the exercise. Each module is 20 minutes or less, so you should be able to move through those modules quickly, especially the second time around. And you'll have access to these modules for as long as you need them, so you can go back every so often. But let's dig into Module 1. What is life balance? Now, some people may feel that life balance is about spending the appropriate amount of time in a specific area. For instance, if you work 40 hours, you're only working 40 hours. You come home and you have your evenings specifically with family, etc., etc. And you may even think it's about spending equal time in each area of life. But what I've come to discover, not only in my own life, but in the lives of the executives that I coach, is that life balance does not always become equal in any given phase of your life. An example is when I was in my 20s, I was heavily focused on my career, which meant that I could spend as much time as I needed in my career because I didn't have a spouse, because I didn't have any children. And to be quite honest, in my 20s, I didn't have any other commitments. Only those that I wanted to take on was what I could take on. So at the time, I was spending a lot of time at work, and it was fine. It was fulfilling. It was great. As I moved to other phases of my life, now that I'm married, I have a husband and a daughter, and I have a business. And as my daughter's gotten older, I have spent less and less time with her. When she was first born, I was spending essentially 24 hours a day with her. And then as she became more independent, as she grew up, started going to school, etc., she required less time of me. And I needed to allow her that independence. So this idea of spending equal time in each area of life really gets thrown out the window fairly quickly. And when we take a deeper look at it, and I'm going to use the analogy of a plate because this phrase is used quite often. But when we consider the plate and what will allow us life balance, it's about knowing what's on the plate, deciding what stays on the plate, having the right amount of things on your plate, and doing the right things at the right time so you can enjoy it. And if you really dig deep into this analogy, I think it's probably very telling. And maybe this is what your plate currently looks like. It's so full. There's so much on there. Things that you put on there, things that other people put on there. It's buried and you can't even tell what it is anymore. And if you consider eating this huge, horrific plate of food, imagine what your taste buds would feel like and what you would experience. You wouldn't be able to taste any individual thing because it's all glommed together. And that may be exactly what you're experiencing in life right now. If this is what your plate looks like, then maybe you're rushing from thing to thing. Maybe you're diluting the amount of focus and energy that you're putting to something so that you can't even enjoy it. And what we really are striving for is a plate where we can, first of all, see what it is that we're experiencing and experiencing it one bite at a time. So, what is life balance? It's about getting to do all the things you want to do and experiencing life fulfillment. So let's dig into an activity. And again, this is really a coaching activity, so I want you to take your time with it. We're going to look at what your balanced life would look like. I want you to ask yourself, what would a balanced life look like? Just imagine. And maybe it's not completely clear to you, but then I want you to consider, how will you feel once you have it? And maybe that's even the starting point, is how will you feel? You won't feel any tension. You'll feel excited to do the things that you want to do. You'll have the appropriate amount of time with your friends or your family or your work or anything that brings you joy. You'll get to do that. And how will you be different once you achieve it? What are the ways in which you'll engage differently with people? Will you smile more often? Will you take longer naps? Will you show appreciation more? What will life really look like when you have your balanced life? And if you have that now, or you're close to having that right now, that is fantastic. But I want you to go ahead and journal this. Find your favorite journal or a piece of paper, but I want you to put pen to paper and write down what a balanced life will look like. This is the end of Module 1. And you've got your coaching exercise to write down your balanced life. I look forward to connecting with you in Module 2. Until then, many blessings and much gratitude.